Hey everyone, it's Peter Soros here with Real Estate Skills. Today I'm going to be interviewing a member of the Real Estate Skills community. He joined up with us just 3 months ago in August and closed his first wholesale deal last week and profited $12,000. And that's not all. I talked to him yesterday and he's got another deal under contract where buyers are checking it out today. I'm real excited to share this story with you, so let's jump right into it. First off, how you doing today, Aaron?
Doing great. Excited to be here talking with you, man.
Awesome. Still feeling that high of closing your first deal?
Yeah, it's definitely exciting.
Yeah. And then, as of yesterday, you said you got another deal under contract. Look at that.
Yeah, I got a deal in North Miami. It's in the El Portal neighborhood. I'm working right now to try to find, a buyer for it. So we'll see how that one goes. Right now the feedback I'm getting, it might be a little bit high. I might have to try to see if I can, improve that, but that's where I'm at right now.
Or get a price reduction. Yeah. And we'll talk about that later. We'll see what we can do to help you out with that. So, just the name of the game. So, all right. So, we want to know more about you. So, before you started real estate, what was your profession before? What was your career path before getting into real estate?
Well, I graduated from college in 2022, so like 2 years ago. I was in college. I was playing basketball and I was studying, and I graduated, and then I just got pretty much like a random job. I was working in a hospital, just like where my grandpa worked, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and that's when I started getting into real estate. I started watching Bigger Pockets and kind of how everybody gets into real estate, and I decided to get my real estate license.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I had been working before I decided to start getting into wholesaling. That I got this course and all that. I had been doing real estate as an agent for about a year, but then my goal was always to be more on the investment side of things. So that's why I decided to just make the jump, and I just jumped all in. I switched over, bought the course, started doing it pretty much full time. This is what I spend all day doing, and yeah, that's how I'm here.
Okay, so you had a little bit of experience as an agent. Tell me a little bit what that was like. What made you want to go on the investment side of things after how long were you an actual agent? How many deals did you do as an agent? Tell me a little bit about that part of it.
Yeah, so when I was an agent for about exactly a year, pretty much exactly a year. I got my license last year in August, and I started with the course this year, like right around August. So it was pretty much exactly a year. And the reason that I got my license was because I started learning, because before that, I have no history, no background in real estate. Like I didn't even really know anything about real estate once I started, like at all, zero knowledge. And I started learning about like rental properties and cash flow and all this type of stuff. And obviously it was something that I was like, man, like this is an amazing opportunity. So I got my license with the idea that I was going to learn about real estate and make some money to be able to then invest it in real estate. And that was kind of my vision. And after doing it for a year, I realized that while I did make some money as an agent, it's completely different being an agent than being an investor. Is totally opposite worlds. And that's why
Mhm.
I thought wholesale, like Alex says a lot of times in the course, which I like totally agree with, that wholesaling is essentially, you're getting paid to learn how to invest and learn how to run the numbers and meet these investors and all that sort of thing. So I've only been doing it now for maybe what 2-3 months, and I've already gotten so much further than a whole year being a real estate agent. And with regards to how it went, I mean, when I started doing real estate, I just started like cold calling. I was calling like for sale by owners, expireds, and I went on like 20 listing appointments in the first like 6 months and didn't get a single one, and it was
Yeah.
horrible. Didn't make $1. I made $900 on a rental in my first 6 months in working as an agent. But
Hmm.
then starting in January of this year, I got two listings, and then I started doing a bunch of rentals, and I sold a house. So it was going well. I was making, decent money as an agent. But once I found out about wholesaling, because I had always like heard of it, but I never really like understood, how it worked. Because I know about fixing and flipping, and obviously all that sort of stuff. But once I found out like how it really, it went, I started watching a bunch of videos on YouTube. I got the course, and I just made a complete shift over into wholesaling from being an agent.
Yeah. So before we dive into more about the real estate journey, why did you pick real estate? So you had gone to college, I assume, for something not related to real
Yeah, I
estate.
did sport and exercise.
Okay. So what made you get into real estate specifically? Why real estate? you know?
I mean, I really don't know. I feel like it just kind of happened out of nowhere. I just started watching a bunch of like bigger pockets like podcasts, and I started seeing all these guys on YouTube. And just all the opportunities that were there with like fix and flipping. And also my dad, he has his own company. Like he does kitchens and countertops. So he
Hmm.
like remodeled his whole house, and like he has experience. He knows a lot of people in like that space. So my vision was always like, man, if I learn this stuff, I could do it with my dad, and I can get the work done at a great price. And that was kind of what got me into it.
So was it because like the whole sports exercise thing that you had gone to go get your degree in and all that just wasn't the life you wanted? Wasn't going to give you the lifestyle you
Yeah.
wanted? Was it more
Okay.
about those things? And then you mentioning you could be able to work with your dad. Like that's huge to be able to have a business that you work together with a family member, which I assume wouldn't have happened, right? If you were just
Yeah,
in.
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, cause my whole life I played basketball, and I played basketball in college as well. And like growing up, my idea was always to just play, basketball. I wanted to obviously play in the NBA, or play pro somewhere. And things didn't work out because it is how it is. So I decided to start working, and I got that degree in sport and exercise because you just have to study something when you're in college. But I really wasn't like focused on that. Sadly, I was
Mhm.
more focused on just basketball.
Mhm.
And so once I graduated and I wasn't gonna go play, I had to figure out like, hey, what am I gonna do? So I just kind of had like a job. Then I worked a little bit with my degree. I guess I was a personal trainer for like a couple
Mhm.
months before I
Mhm.
before I got my real estate license. And then yeah, just kind of in that process of figuring out what was gonna be the next thing for me, I found real estate, and I I fell in love with it from the beginning. I've always really liked the idea of owning real estate and owning properties and fixing and flipping houses, and also that my dad is already kind of not in the real estate space, but like in the construction and renovation side of things. Like I always saw that as well as an opportunity to
Mhm.
work with him and be able to make money with him and all that sort of stuff.
Nice, nice. So that's kind of your background. You mentioned a little bit about your little bit of experience. You had about a year or two as an agent. What was your mindset about real estate before joining the program? Because you had started to get a little bit of a taste of what it's like being a realtor, and now you're like, okay, is this what real estate means? Is this what it is? But then you heard about investing. So, what was like the shifts going on in your mind as you're, you know, journeying through the real estate industry?
Yeah, I mean, because I guess I was working as obviously just full time realtor. I was doing buy, sale, rental. And then literally it was random. Just one day on YouTube, like a wholesale video came up because I'm always trying to like learn, and I'm always watching YouTube and all this stuff. And then I watched the whole video, and then I found Alex Martinez actually, and it was like the 101 wholesaling video. It's like an hour
Mhm.
long, and literally while driving to a property that I was going to show, I
Mhm.
was just watching the video. I watched the whole video, and I was like, wow, man, like this makes sense, and this is like exactly what I've been looking for. Something I can start doing now. Something that I don't need $200,000 to invest in a property, like, and it's something that can teach me how I can build into being what I want to be as an investor, fixing, flipping, buying and holding in the future. So I guess the more so the way you said the mindset shift was I just decided to go all in. Once I did it, I just said, man, this is what I'm gonna do. I took the course, I did the whole course in like a couple weeks, and I just started implementing it. And what the course really gave me the most was just like a foundation to really be able to start taking action on the wholesale side of things. Because coming
Mhm.
from an agent, I had no idea how I was gonna, wholesale the house. I didn't even know how it worked. I didn't know how I was gonna do that.
Yeah, that was going to be like my next question is like, what was holding you back from like moving forward into something else? So obviously you had to become exposed to this new idea, and then it was something that kind of sparked something in you. What was it that said, you know what, I'm going to take action on this? And, was there something that was keeping you from maybe taking action beforehand? Was there anything like that, or how
Yeah,
was
I
that?
mean, I guess before it was just like a lack of knowledge. I was just focused on making as much money as I can as an agent, and my plan was just to like make a lot of money, and then when I had enough money to start investing or be able to buy a property or have enough money to be able to start investing in real estate, which in my mind you needed a lot of money to do that. Then I was gonna take that opportunity. So I guess when I saw that I could jump into the investment side of things, right now without having to have the money, without having to, have all the experience by wholesaling and learning how I can do that. Especially since I already did have some experience as an agent, I knew that I can, get it going pretty quickly.
So you kind of found out that there was really nothing holding you back from
Yeah,
getting started. Usually everyone thinks you got to have a ton of money in order to get started as an investor.
yeah.
And so that's really kind of what helped push you over the edge. Like, oh, I don't need all this stuff. I can just get started now. And you already have some experience. You're already an agent. So that was kind of the tipping point for you then, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. And initially, my kind of plan was like, oh, maybe I can do this together. But once I started really diving in and I got the course and all that, I was like, man, for me at least, I just got. I mean, I'm still doing like referrals and things that come my way, but like
Hmm.
I'm not even really focused at all on the real estate stuff. I
Hmm.
jumped all in, and I was like, this is what I want to do. This was gonna help me get to
Hmm.
where I want to get to as an investor, and yeah.
So well, was there anything specific that we helped you kind of get past that was holding you back? Like you mentioned, the knowledge, education, which that always a lot of it always comes down to that like foundation. Like I
Hmm.
don't know what I'm doing, and some people
Yeah.
like, well, I'll figure it out as I go. Tell me a little bit more of like what is it that like we actually helped you do that you probably would have taken you a long time to figure out or never figure out. Like tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
I mean, the first thing was like I've already kind of said that the just that knowledge and the knowing that that opportunity is there that I could start wholesaling right now. And then once I went through the course, like just setting the course, obviously there's things that you learn as you go talking with agents, because like everything
Mhm.
you can't just watch videos and know everything. You got to go do it to be able to actually learn every little thing. But giving me that foundation so that I could start taking action relatively quickly within a couple weeks. And
Mhm.
then the biggest thing for me as well that definitely I felt that support was through your help on the school games and everybody else jumping in on the platform. That was definitely something that was like how do I say this, like there was always a quick response to any question that I had or anything that I was in the middle of that I was like, man, what do I do here? I
Mhm.
always reached out and it was always a great answer. It always answered my question. It was
Mhm.
the latest that it would take was maybe a couple hours, maybe but
Yeah.
always a quick response within a couple minutes. And it would help me move on to the next thing, because once you're starting, there's a lot of things you don't know. There's a lot of things that maybe are simple, but in the moment you're like, man, what is this? What do I do? So definitely that support was probably from the course like the biggest support that I felt to help me get that first deal pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's the first deals, it can feel very overwhelming and having someone on your side and being there for you and as soon as you get a deal under contract, the clock is ticking and you got to pull all these pieces together and make it work. And that's why we understand, like, if you're in it and we're there to support you, we're going to do everything we can to be as responsive and as quick to respond to you as possible, because we know we got to make decisions in a matter of minutes, hours, days. A lot can hinge on that.
Yeah,
So
and learning like with like analyzing properties, like a lot of times, like now I kind of have a little bit more confidence in that. But at first, I would analyze it, and like what would really give me my confidence that I did it right was like asking like, "Hey, is this ARV right?" And yes or no, getting that feedback quickly. Because like for example, that once I started, I kind of had an opportunity where I did it for like a couple weeks to work with like some guys that were fixing to flip, and they're also like investors. And obviously they're doing their own work and their job. So like once I worked with them for like 2 weeks, I think, or something. And throughout that period, like I really felt like a lot of questions that I had, I didn't get them answered because they were busy doing this and doing that. So that's something that in the course and in the school platform is definitely something that was big time and super helpful.
yeah, and that reminds me, like, I remember, and again, you've been in the program for only a couple months, and you've closed your first deal. We'll talk more about your other deals that you had under contract, and we'll talk about those. But then you told me you even had like a job offer for a while, with that acquisitions company or whatever. Like, how did that come about again? Tell us about that again.
Yeah, so that because it was just the owner of the company. He's like a investor that I had seen before at like an event, and I just reached out to him on Instagram, to send him my deals with to see if maybe he wanted to buy it. And he also has like a title company.
Hmm.
So we had just agreed to go like meet a day in his office just to kind of talk about potentially working together, him as the title company, since he knew that I was wholesaling. And
Hmm.
just talking there, we met, we got along well, and he just like told me he was looking for people to essentially run the acquisition side of his company. Like he was looking for some acquisition people, and he offered me the job, and I took it, and I did it for a little bit. But it was a good opportunity, but I just felt I had a better opportunity do it on my own, and with the support that I got from this platform. And And we literally within like a week, I think it was the next week that I went back on my own, is that I locked up this deal that I
Mhm.
closed
Perfect.
because it was
Perfect. All
under
right.
contract for like a month, So I locked it up. It was in September, I believe, within like a month and a half of being in the course.
Yeah. 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 All right. Well, let's start diving into some of the deals you got. So when you started in August, so then you had your first deal under contract in September, wasn't it? Like a month
Yeah, it
later.
was like early mid September. I got it under contract.
Right. And so tell us a little about that one because I remember you brought that one to us. We were trying to help you find some buyers. We found somebody, but it was a little bit too
Hmm.
tight of a timeline, and we were like a day off, or else you would have
Yeah,
had another deal closed, probably, huh?
yeah, yeah.
Tell us
And that
about
one,
that.
that deal, that was my first deal. I actually think I got that one like towards the end of August. The
August.
one that I closed is the one that I got in September. So that one I got it within a couple weeks of being in the course.
Mm-hmm.
And that deal, obviously, it fell through like super last minute. We found out, you guys helped me find a buyer that it looked like he was gonna move forward on it, but he was like out of town. He got back that night.
Yeah.
Escrow ended, and the agent, she had a bunch of backup offers, so she decided to just move on. And that property, I had it under contract for 490, and I was gonna wholesale it for like 500, I think 500,000. So I was gonna make
Yeah.
like 10,000 on that deal, and it actually ended up selling because it already closed like really quickly after. I don't remember what it was, but it was like 515 or something,
Yeah.
520,
It
like.
was a lot higher. So you had it at a really good price.
Yeah, so it was definitely like I could have even made more than that 10K on that deal
Yeah.
if I would have just had the right buyer.
Yeah, yeah. It was I think it was just like a matter of time. We just needed a little bit more time. That
Yeah,
he
man.
was dragging his feet a little bit, but he was also out of town, had to come see it. So it's yeah, that's why sometimes we try to like buy ourselves some more time and sometimes there's just nothing you can do. We've
Yeah,
extended as much as we can, but um that was your first taste, right? And
yeah,
that was after what, just a couple weeks, you know?
yeah.
So then after that, I recall you had like two more deals, or was it one more deal under contract that you had to cancel because? Tell us about that one. It was
Yeah, then the second one that I actually got, well, I think I had this. It was my second or third one, because I had gotten another one once I started working with that company that they do kind of
yeah.
investments and all that. And just because I was kind of in that transition, I wasn't really focused on that, so that deal ended up falling through. And then I got another one that I got at a good price. I spoke with the agent, and I had found a buyer for it that I had assigned it over to him and everything. But then when he was going through the inspections, the agent had told us that the property had a new roof from 2 years ago, that it had updated electrical, all this stuff, and then turns out that literally none of that was true. So
Yeah.
my buyer had to, for the deal to make sense, he had to get it like $20,000-$30,000 cheaper.
Hmm.
And once we tried to go for the reduction, the agent wasn't going for it, so that deal kind of fell through, and it's actually still on the market right now. I'm still following up with it, trying to see if I can lock it up, but haven't done it
Try,
yet.
try again.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So now let's just jump into this deal. I remember you brought it to us, and all the numbers seem to make sense. So tell us about how. Before we go on to that, how many offers do you think you put in until you finally got your first deal closed? How many offers would you say it was?
Man, I don't know about an exact number, but in the course they always talk about like 15 offers to one actual contract.
Hmm.
And I've been, kind of tracking it on my own, especially like more so recently for the last couple months. And I mean, it's definitely pretty accurate. Like it's right around that number. Like I've gotten, because from now, my biggest issue has been just like finding, the right buyer sometimes. Because I've gotten about 5 deals already under contract. I've only been able to sell that one, and I'm working on this one right now. And every like the last one, it took me 10 offers to get a deal, then this one took me like 25, 30. So on
Hmm.
average it's probably right around that 15 to 20 mark for me, I would say.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm just kind of working on getting better on finding the right buyers and being able to assign it, and also the time frames, and maybe one or two were priced a little bit too high, but right around that range of, I would say, 15 to 20, like they do say in the course, is what it's
Hmm.
been for me as well.
Yeah, that's just kind of what we've seen. Again, it's some people do it in a lot less, some people takes more, and it's always good to keep in mind you're in a very competitive market. You're in
Yeah.
Miami, very competitive market. So, but once you start to get into the community there, as you see, it starts to kind of snowball effect. It happens all the time. We say it all the time. Like momentum is very real. It starts to build up. You just close your first deal. Now you got another one under contract that we'll see if it's actually ends up, closing with a good buyer based on the numbers. You said there might be foundation issues on it and all that
Yeah,
stuff. So, but that is something that it's something that just sparks, and then things just keep going and building as long as you keep moving. So,
yeah,
um,
amen.
just like a prime example of exactly what we see all the time.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now let's talk about your deal. What were the numbers? What did you buy it at? What were your estimates for the rehab, your ARV? Just the raw numbers.
Yeah, so this deal, the one that I closed or the one that I'm working on right
The
now?
one that you closed. Yeah, let's
Okay,
finish
so the
talking
one
about
that I closed, it was listed for 525. The property, if I remember correctly, every little detail, but the property, it was mainly just, cosmetic work, and I believe oh, it was cosmetic work, and it didn't have a central AC. So that was kind of the biggest things that it needed in terms of like repairs. The property, I was able to get it under contract for $500,000. I remember when I was going back and forth with the agent, I wanted to try to get it at like 490, but he kind of
that.
pushed me up. And on that deal, something that I could say was the just to kind of sidetrack a little bit, that the biggest thing that helped me get that deal under contract was definitely offering both sides of the commission to the agent. So that was
Hmm.
something that, like, the second that I told him on the phone, he was like, "Oh, like, I could just hear in his voice that he was more interested." And he literally even told me, like, "Oh yeah, if we could work together, like, I can try to, push for this number." So I was able to get it at 500,000. The property, the ARV, it was a really nice area in Miami Springs. It sold. The ARV was probably somewhere around like $700,000. So there was
Hmm.
definitely a decent spread there, considering that it wasn't like a super major rehab. It was really just cosmetic. The property was being rented out to an older lady who had lived there for like 20 years. So, so yeah, and then I was trying to move it at $510,000. So that was my target sale price, and I actually ended up getting an offer for 510, and then another person was interested, so I was able to negotiate that lady all the way up to 517, which is where I ultimately ended up wholesaling it.
Nice, nice. And was it? Would you say it was easier than you thought, or was it harder than you thought it was going to be doing that?
To what, to get my first deal?
To get to close this deal, to get it, to get it to the finish line. What did that feel? Is like, wow, that was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, or was that a lot actually easier than I thought it was going to be? What was that
It's
like?
kind of weird because when I'm, at least for me, when I'm in the moment, I feel like, man, I've done so much work because I'm always, calling, negotiating,
Hmm.
doing this, waking up early, working every day, like. And so it feels like, man, when's it gonna happen? But then once I actually did it, I was like, wow, like, when you look back, it feels like, man, it was pretty quick. Like, I guess it wasn't that hard. But definitely when you're in the moment, it feels like, man, I'm going crazy working and working. But looking back, I was like, man, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, yeah. At first, it feels like, oh, this is a lot going on,
Yeah.
and then after you've done it a few times, you're like, that's just what you expect.
Yeah, yeah.
You
And in
expect.
terms of like the actual, like, under contract to closing, this
Mhm.
deal was chaos, man. It was everything that you can imagine. I got it under contract, and then the lady that I found from a Facebook group.
Mhm.
Probably you're gonna ask me about that, but I found her from a Facebook group, and I assigned it to her like the day before the
Mhm.
inspections were up, and then we had a title company. She decides to switch it. I mean, it was a million different stuff. Then she's trying to negotiate the price down, and she couldn't get financing. It was crazy.
Got it. So it got done. It
Stress.
got done. Yeah. And was that the most challenging part about it? Was kind of just guiding them through it, or was it trying to find the buyer? What was the most challenging part, would you say, about the
Yeah.
whole process?
On this specific deal, the one that I just recently closed in Miami Springs, I would say the most challenging part really was just making sure that it got to closing after it was under contract. Surprisingly, that would be my answer, just
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
so many different things happened. There were so many moving pieces. So many times I was like, man, this thing might not close. Like, but
Yeah.
at the end, even to the last day, because originally I was supposed to make $17,000 on the deal, and
Mhm.
literally the day of closing, the buyer calls me and she's like, "Hey, I'm $5,000 short. I'm not gonna be able to close if I don't have it." So, obviously, I think she kind of was just negotiating me down. Maybe it's true. I don't know. But
Mhm.
she calls me. So then I reach out to the agent, and I'm asking him to see if he can come in with some of his commission. Because obviously, instead of 10, he's making $20,000. And he just blew up and went crazy. He's like, no, no way I'm doing that. So I thought the deal was gonna fall out through both ends, and I ended up just having to give the 5K. So I ended up making 12K on the deal.
Oh, right. Okay. Because I remember you saying you was going to make 17K on
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly.
okay.
Last
So,
day, the day of closing, after getting a week long extension, it was crazy, man. Everything that could happen happened on this deal.
wow. Well, that's a great battle scar you've
Yeah,
got, you know?
yeah, nothing can surprise me anymore.
Here's a question for you. How much money did you have to put in to get this deal?
I mean, yeah, that's the good thing about on market. It didn't cost a dollar,
Didn't
just
cost you
time.
anything.
Time and energy is all I had to put in.
You didn't put an earnest money deposit in, anything like that?
No, the EMD was $5,000, and she put that in. That's
Hmm.
when I assigned it over to her, so I didn't have to put a single dollar.
Awesome. Awesome. It's always nice that hearing it from you, people always want to know, oh, you can't do it, but like, here we go. We got
Yeah,
another testimonial that you can do it that
yeah.
way. So you mentioned a few times about the help that you had, the support. Uh, how did the training or the support help you get this deal across the finish line? I remember you called me a few times, Peter. What's this agent's doing this? What do I do? What do I do? So like, tell me a little bit about that. What was kind of going through your head?
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for you, man, I don't even know where I would have been. But I mean, just one example that I can think of at the top of my mind was, which now is not even a big deal because I've been through it. But because I had chosen the title company, which is a title company that I have worked with for previously as a realtor, so I had some connection with them. And then the buyer, she gives the EMD to them, and it looks like we're moving forward with them. We're past inspections and everything. And then out of nowhere, she's just like upset with how they treated her, so she wants to use her title company, and we want to switch over title companies in the middle of the transaction. And I had never done that before, so I didn't even know if that could be done or not. And I was kind of worried about that. I'm calling you, and you're like, "Hey, yeah, it's not a big deal. Just get it done." Because then on the
Mhm,
other end, the agent was also like, worrying, like, "Hey, what's going on? What are we doing?" So
mhm,
in the moment, it was just chaotic, and being able to have that support and have somebody who has experience
mhm.
definitely helped me calm down and helped me, make the right decisions and navigate through.
Awesome. Yeah, I was happy to be there for you. Glad I was ready by the phone to get that call, and those little moments make all the difference. I know because I used to be in those positions as well, and it just helps build you up that confidence, and that little extra nudges and support just helps put us more at ease. Because I know the very first couple deals you're just like stressed out, and
Yeah.
when you want it to work and all that. So all right, so we got that one closed. You got another one in the hopper, so to speak. It's been accepted. You're out there, trying to lock in some buyers. You're already getting some feedback. So that kind of leads me into ever since now doing this deal. What's life like now? Ever since you joined the program and you had this win, like what's changing in your life right now?
I mean, I guess just especially like in the real estate aspect, like my mindset towards, how like I'm really, at first I almost felt like, I was just faking it, but now I really almost do feel like, even if it sounds kind of cliche, like I really am an investor, especially in the way that I go about these deals, like even if there's highs or lows, I still get stressed out, but I'm a lot better than at first because I kind of know how to deal with these situations. And specifically, like for example, with this deal that I actually got it under contract, I believe it was yesterday in the morning. Just being able to reach out to the investors and reach out to the buyers, trying to push out the deal, as well as maybe JVing with some wholesalers or dispo people, just trying to make sure I get the deal out there. I just feel a lot more confident in when I talk to them and when I present the deal, when I present the numbers, and being able to get the feedback and kind of know what I need to maybe reduce on the deal to be able to make it happen, or learning also for the next deal. I just feel like I'm a lot more in control ever since joining the course and ever since going through all the things that I've been going through for the last couple months.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's great. It's very nuanced. As you noticed, a lot of things can go this way or that way or
Yeah.
upside down, and just being able to kind of be flexible, quick on your feet, and maintain your composure as you see. You'll always run into new things, but if you have the right mindset, and you have the confidence in yourself, then you see what you can do now,
Hmm.
which is great. I can see it that you're already you're still plowing through, going through, getting more deals, and so I see the change already since the beginning,
Yeah.
and it was a really quick change. So it's
Yeah.
a real, we're all real proud of you for doing that.
Thank you.
Um, What's the best thing that's happened for you since you joined? So yeah, you closed your first deal. Is it changing anything else other in your life though? Now that's one thing because a lot of people get into real estate. They want to do something bigger because they think it's going to, there's the potential. They see that there's a potential to start changing their life for the better. Has anything started changing, for yourself, your family, obviously your business seems to start to be growing. Like you kind of, I assume you're starting to see that there's light at the end of the tunnel as an investor. Like you said, like you honestly feel like an investor now, right?
Hmm.
And you're starting to see that there's other agents out there doing deals and you feel like you can compete with any of those guys any day now, right? All the
Hmm.
time. So tell me a little bit more on how that is changing how you're going through just your life now, you
Yeah.
know
Let me see. I mean, I guess one thing it's definitely my vision now is a lot clearer in terms of even though obviously there's a lot, there's a gap, there's time, there's work that needs to be done, but my vision in terms of where I am to where I want to be is a lot clearer. I know I just got to keep making offers and learning and connecting with people. Also, like just through doing this and learning wholesaling, like the amount of investors and people that are really doing this in this space in this
hmm
area that I know that previously I didn't even have a connection with one of them, is a lot better. I also just through this, for example, earlier this week, I haven't told this to you, but there's a guy, I don't know if I did tell you, but there's a young guy, he's 27, he's like, about my age. He goes to UM. He's studying business, and he's also looking to invest in real estate. But he has some capital that he doesn't really have the time to look for deals and deploy. He's got family that has capital. They're looking to move through him. So just oh yeah, I did tell you. So
yeah,
just
yeah.
the opportunity to potentially like partner with him and maybe start jumping into like actual fix and flip projects or just having access to that and just also opening my mind to seeing new ideas and new things that like for example how I can get into a deal, how I can probably raise money. Like it's just this has opened a lot of different doors and it's just making me feel I guess a lot happier. I don't know if it has any relationship, but I've been getting closer to God and a lot of good
Yeah.
things are happening in my life.
All right, so like what's your ultimate long-term goal? So you've kind of built this foundation for yourself now and you're trying to build something now. I can see it. What is it you're trying to build? What is it the long-term goal for you that you're shooting for?
So my vision long term is definitely to build this into a company that has a large portfolio, a company that does a little bit of everything, wholesaling, fixing and flipping, and investing into to assets long term. I mean, my long term vision is definitely to get into multifamily because I just feel like that's where the best opportunities are in real estate and be able to own those types of properties and raise money and do this and just build a real estate company and a large real estate portfolio is really my long term vision and yeah, that's what wholesale is kind of giving me that opportunity to jump into that. I'm already actually working on potentially hiring a VA to kind of automate some of the things that I'm working on and be able to delegate a little bit so that I can focus more on negotiating deals and doing the things that produce money to help me continue to scale my business. Obviously, as I'm able to lock up more deals and make more money.
Nice, nice. What's next on your to-do list then? Right now it's probably what? Close this next deal?
Yeah, next on my to do list is to close the next couple, four, five, six, seven, eight. As many deals as I can to continue to raise that money. Then as soon as I find something that maybe for me or maybe to going on with a partner or somebody that maybe a hard money lender, whatever the case may be, then so I can build into fix and flipping, and then as I'm wholesaling, flipping, start to hold some and continue to build that. And as I continue to build my company, then, in the future, long term, my end goal is definitely to be able to get into the multifamily space and,
hmm
own larger apartment complexes and things like that. That's my vision. So
hmm
God willing.
And yeah, and it sounds like you're doing real estate full time now. I just want to make sure. Is that what you do full time, or you still have like extra income from a job or anything
No,
like
no.
that?
I mean, ever since last year that I got my real estate license, I did it full time and I've been full time in real estate. I jumped in head first. Some people think I'm crazy, but that's just how I've decided to do it.
So what does this shift from going from agent to investor, this transformation you've kind of just went through, like what does this mean to you? Why is this really important to you?
Yeah, because I mean, since the beginning, that kind of like I've been saying that I got my license. I've always my goal has always been not to be an agent. There's nothing wrong with that. There's people that want to be agents and they're great agents, but that was never my goal. It was always to get more into the investment side of things and be an investor and fix and flip properties and own properties and like I've always said, I've always ever since I don't know. I mean, you definitely probably know Grant Cardone. That's the guy that
Mhm.
I watch a lot, and I think he's great. So that's somebody that he's really heavy in the multifamily space, and that's something that long term has always been my vision. So yeah,
Anything is there anything kind of making a change in your personal life with what you're doing too? Because we're talking business, you're talking your career and all that, but we all know that carries off into our personal life. So what kind of things are do you see changing, or do you see that this can get you to make some personal changes you want, maybe future? Like, is this providing what you envision for yourself on a personal level as well?
yeah. I mean, 100%. At least one thing that I mean, I guess it's personal. I guess it's kind of real estate related. Right now, I'm renting in an apartment complex that I live in,
Mhm.
and my goal is definitely to own my own house and to buy a house and just learning this whole investment side of things has made that much more in my mind, something that I can access and I can do much, much quicker than before, where I had to, wait the 2 years so that I could have the money and get a loan. Now I could potentially, fix and flip my own house and then just live in it. So something like that in my personal life, there's always been a goal to own my house and then, continue to invest from there is something that I feel this has gotten me, a lot closer to achieving. And something else would be working alongside my dad to, fix and flip houses together. I guess that's still business, but working with my dad is something I think would be super cool. And I feel like I'm just, a couple months away from being able to make that a reality. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great that you kind of keep coming back to work and be able to work with your dad. So it sounds like there's a family connection is important to you. And this is the thing. It's like, you can go try to make as much money you can for what purpose, you know? That's what we're always trying to see. Because a lot of people are always like, I want to do this so that then I can take care of my parents, or that then I can, feel more comfortable starting a family, things like that. So we always like to hear like the human side of things, because business numbers, it's always fun, but the stuff underneath that really gets us going, to get to these spots. So that's we're trying to see what makes Aaron tick.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, definitely, maybe a lot of people say it, but it's just the reality for me. It's my family. Just
Yeah.
being able to, provide for them, like how my parents have done my whole life, and being able to something that I've always dreamed of is be able to travel the world, see a lot of places with my family, maybe
Mhm.
even be able to do it for them and things like that. And as well as being able to invest in real estate, so I could have kind of more of a passive style of income coming into the at times will allow me to be more free to travel, spend more time, or whatever the case may be, have that achieve financial freedom, for myself and for my family, and even to be able to give back as well. I have
Mhm.
a strong faith in God, so that's something
Mhm.
that I kind of prioritize as well. So yeah, those are the
Awesome.
main motivations for me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all those things make what we do just even more meaningful and all that. So, yeah, it's always just nice to hear where people are coming from. So that's great to hear. All right, so you've gotten this far. What advice would you give to anyone thinking of jumping into real estate investing, or if anyone's interested in like, real estate skills and all that? Like, now you've kind of been through it, and you're moving forward. You're seeing what's possible. What's some advice you would give to someone thinking about it, or, on the fence? What
Yeah.
kind of advice would you give to someone?
Yeah, I mean, the advice that I would give is to just, go ahead and do it. It's something I've already been giving it. My cousin, he's kind of wants to get into real estate as well, and I've been on him like, bro, start wholesaling, learn about wholesaling, look at this course, get the course,
Mhm.
as well as a couple guys in my church as well. Like I've already been referring people to you guys, man, and just kind of telling people if you're interested and you want to do it, like from my experience right now, the way to get into real estate and into investing is to start by wholesaling. It doesn't take, it sounds like an ad almost, but it doesn't take any money.
Mhm.
All it takes is your time and your effort to learn how you got to do it, and you don't need a license, you don't need nothing. It's just the best way to learn and get paid and make more money than you can make in 90% of other things.
Mhm.
So it's just a great opportunity in my opinion. So I
Yeah.
would say to do it.
Awesome. And would you say, because some people think like, oh yeah, I could just, I'll just start wholesaling, I'll just start making money, no problem. Like again, you said like some of it seemed it was pretty hard at first. It felt like it like that's another part of it is like everyone thinks like, oh, I can just jump into this, just start making millions of dollars, right? Like what's the let's try to like knock out some preconceptions people might have like, oh, just come in and just start making tons of money like and not have to work for it. So like talk a little bit about that. Like what did it actually take?
Once I started, like even in real estate as an agent, my idea was that I was gonna cold call for 2 3 months and be a millionaire. So, and it's really not like that. You gotta, obviously everybody's different. Maybe somebody, within 3 months they became a millionaire. I don't know them, but you definitely got to put in the work and be consistent. And for me at least, because obviously you're calling and you're getting a lot of no's. Like I got one deal, yeah, I made $12,000, but there's been over 100 agents that have told me no, some that have screamed at me, some that have told me I'm an idiot. Like, so it's definitely hard. And there's moments throughout it where it's like super super stressful and you feel like, man, this is not even gonna happen. So the biggest thing for somebody that wants to start, apart from starting, is to like, I always say, I don't know if this kind of makes sense. It makes sense in my mind. Like, just make that decision. Like, this is what you're gonna do, and you're gonna do it until you achieve it, because you can do it. It's possible. Like I did it. I've only done one deal, but there's people making a lot of money doing this. Like, it's possible. You just have to stick through it and figure it out, because it's definitely like, if when it gets a little challenging, you're gonna quit, then you're definitely not gonna be able to make it. It's something that you got to be mentally like, this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna do it until it works, whether it takes 1 month or whether it takes, a year, 2 years. Like, everybody's time is different. So yeah, it's something that you got to be dedicated to and committed to seeing it through.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you've noticed that because a lot of people can, people start seeing your success like, oh, maybe I should start doing that too. Like, well, you're starting a business. And I always like, comparing it to like someone who has this business down the street. They got a sandwich shop. You got to show up every day. You got to buy stuff. You got to make those sandwiches. You got to sell those things. You got to make sure everything is you. And if you don't show up, you don't eat. You don't. So it can sound very sexy real estate, but we also have to understand that it's a business and you just got to be willing to commit to it. And like you said, make up your mind, make up your decision, and just don't stop.
But also, it's really important, that's something that I'm still working on right now, like, to also take like action, take action steps, like, because you can spend the whole day like looking at deals and analyzing deals, but if you don't call an agent or make an offer, it's just as good as if you watch TV all day. Because a lot of times I'll
Mhm.
overwhelm myself, like, oh, what direction do I want to go, like, do I send this, and I'm analyzing a property for 2 hours, and you're working, but you're just wasting your time really as well. So it's important to make sure that you're also like taking action steps, like doing the actual things that make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. That's it's a very almost cliche nowadays, but it's like you can be busy, but you're not being productive. And I say it all the time. I've canceled way more deals than I've ever closed. Alex's first deal he got under contract, he had to cancel. He messed up on the numbers. Like we do that sometimes. I still do that sometimes because we don't know exactly what we're getting into. We're doing the best we can. And I'll bring up the analogies all the time, like basketball player, Michael Jordan, how many shots that I take that I missed, but it's the ones that I made and I'm still a champion. I'm butchering whatever that quote was like, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. So if you don't submit offers, you're not even playing the game. You'll never win. If you never buy the lotto ticket, you're never going to win the lotto thing. So yeah, no, that's great advice. I'm glad we got to it and we got to get that out because that's one of the biggest things I see happening when people start to see your success. They think, oh, I can just start doing that too. Like you can if you stick to it and you're serious about this. If you're just chasing the money, yeah, you could still make money for sure. But that's why we always try to talk about the personal things. Like if there's more to it, there's more reason that you're gonna stick to it and make it happen. So those are all important things to have. This is why in the course we talk about mindset for the whole first couple hours. It is a business, and people lose their businesses when they just give up. Things can go sideways. So, but Well, Aaron, I've been waiting to do this call with you for a while. I'm glad we finally got to do it. So proud of what you've done, and then we're going to jump in and start looking at your other deals, see what we can do to help you. Your story was super inspiring. I'm sure other people will too once we put this out there for everyone to listen to. It's obviously just the beginning for you, and we're all just looking forward to supporting you and see what else you come up with and seeing what you share in the community. So again, I appreciate everything you've shared with us today, and looking forward to more wins, my man.
100%, man. Thank you so much, and you've been one of a huge help throughout the way
Uh,
from
happy
the bottom of my heart, man.
I'm happy to do it, man. It's I know what it was like. I was in those same shoes, so I can feel what you guys are going through. I know, so that's why it's like, hey, I get it. What do you need? I'll help you. So, and there you have it. For anyone else who's interested to get involved with the Real Estate Skills community, just go to realestateskills.com to learn more. I'll see you there.